is Alice in Muggerland with the man who would be Hufflepuff, Billius McDaniels, and Alice, the mudblood who joined the Hogwarts Express.
Hey, Alice.
What's up, Bill?
Unfortunately, I got another question from the Wizarding World.
Sure.
All right, this one, it looks like, comes from the Department of Misuse of Nomad Artifacts Department from Wally Inglesmith.
Okay.
All right, Wally asks, what makes a Fellitone smart?
I'm sorry. Oh, what kind of phone?
A Fellitone.
I don't know what that is. Is this a riddle?
I have no clue. Some of these wizards, they don't know what they're talking about because they've never talked to a muggle before.
Does he mean a telephone?
Maybe.
Oh, okay. Does he mean a smart phone?
Maybe. It's just what makes a Fellitone smart. I'm not. I cannot translate. I don't use Fellitones. I use the Flu Network.
What's a flu network? Do you have to worry about catching a virus if you use the flu network?
Maybe, but we'll get into that in the second book.
Okay. Quidditch?
So, Quidditch. Chapter 11, Quidditch.
Okay.
Before we go into chapter 11, I noticed that my every flavored beans went down a pretty drastic level. Do you have anything to do with that?
This is a judgment-free zone. I don't pick on you about your lack of friends. You don't pick on me about my jelly bean consumption. But I gotta tell you,
of friends.
One of them tasted like refried beans, which is really pretty weird.
Well, luckily you've avoided certain other ones, such as earthworm, earwax, vomit,
Ew.
booger. Those are just some of the ones that people have unfortunately come across.
Well, the good news is now you have put me off these jelly beans, and I will not be eating any more of them.
Well, score 1 for Birdie Bots.
I think that's a -1. Anyway, I could have been a good customer for them. I could have been their best customer. I mean, well, I could have been their best customer through you because you'd be the one supplying me. But anyway, let's get back to the book. Quidditch. So this is a sort of sporty interlude with very little going towards the plot, but what little there is, we will discuss.
The major thing, besides the Quidditch part, is Hermione's new attitude.
Well, Hermione has a new attitude, which apparently makes her much easier to live with. But also, I think the major thing here is Snape. We find out that Snape has grievously injured himself. And then we find out that it happened on Halloween and that it happened by way of at least one of the 3 heads of the dog, which we now know is Fluffy.
From this chapter, yes.
So, Fluffy, the 3-headed dog, which is guarding the thing, which we don't know what it is, but we know it was stolen out of Gringotts, or at least we strongly suspect that. Snape was trying to steal it, or something, and he got mangled. His leg got mangled by the dog. And we find this out because he's limping, and then he takes Harry's book away from him by coming up with some rule about that book not being from the library and not being allowed to be taken out of the building. And when Harry goes back to get it from him, he witnesses his leg being bandaged. And of course, Snape doesn't like that at all. Next day, after a very lousy night's sleep, Harry debuts as the Seeker for the Gryffindor team, and something goes terribly wrong with his broomstick. And it appears that Snape is responsible for that, thanks to the very eagle-eyed Hermione Granger.
She goes from following all the rules to setting teachers on fire.
Yeah, that's really quite a 180 right there. Yeah, so she spots what she thinks is Snape putting a jinx on the broomstick. The broomstick is acting like it wants to kill Harry. And so she goes over and, as you say, she sets him on fire, which does distract him from the task at hand. So the broomstick starts acting normally, and Harry almost swallows a snitch, which is quite an accomplishment in and of itself. So that ends the game, and they win. By the way, they were playing Slytherin, so Snape might have more than one reason to sabotage Harry's broomstick. Not only does Harry suspect that Snape interfered with Fluffy, the three-headed dog, probably to steal whatever the dog is guarding, but also they're playing against the Slytherin team, so Snape would have a vested interest in the outcome of the game. So it seems like he's a very likely suspect for this jinxing of the broomstick, which Hermione very courageously undermined by setting him on fire. Well played, Hermione.
All right.
Meanwhile,
let's go back to the game. Let's go back to the game part, though. Just because it's really the first taste of actual Quidditch. What were your thoughts on how they were basically portraying the game and getting everything squared away like that? Because you mentioned like you've watched your moving pictures about sports, but you never actually read sports stuff.
Right. So it's written in a way that I can tell that I am supposed to be excited about the game, but it's really hard for me to care about the outcome of a game that is fictional. Is it fictional?
You mean like your game called football?
No, that's very real. But this is a book, and they're on broomsticks, and they're flying. So I'm having a hard time caring very much about the outcome of this game. But aside from that, I thought the Weasleys did an interesting commentary, though Professor McGonagall may disagree.
No. We're gonna go back to the fact that you think that Quidditch is a fictional game.
I gotta tell you, I'm having a hard time caring much about Quidditch. Yeah, so the balls fly around in the air, the players fly around in the air. Apparently, you can jinx somebody's broomstick to malfunction in a way that is both dangerous and detrimental to their game. I also don't really see the point of this game, though I guess you could argue that about many sports like golf.
You mean like basically any game, period?
I don't know. Football kind of makes sense. Yeah, Quidditch. It seems like if it really existed, it would be...
There you go with the if it really existed again.
I have no evidence to support the idea that this really exists, but I'm sure you could supply some, right? Are you going to take me to a Quidditch match?
I'm not going to be able to take you to a Quidditch match because I'm lucky enough to actually let you into my office to eat my magical candy.
Yeah, so you insist that this exists, but you can't take me to a Quidditch match. And is that because it doesn't actually exist?
It's because you're a no-maj.
But I can't go watch it because I'm
a no-maj.
It's not because it doesn't exist. Is this like your friends who definitely exist because you definitely have friends?
Yes, we go to watch Quidditch.
Okay. Anyway, I mean, this is just not going to be my favorite parts of these books. So, again, the flying supernatural sport is not going to ever hold my interest that much. But I'm glad that Harry is having a good time, when he's not almost dying playing Quidditch, and then he almost swallowed the snitch, which also seems dangerous because that could also have killed him. A lot of ways to die in this game. And there's something about referees ending up into the middle of the Sahara. It seems dangerous.
Yes, that's happened a couple of times.
Did you play Quidditch? Do you play Quidditch?
Yes, I did. Yes, I do. Not professionally, but I used to play Quidditch.
What kind of broomstick do you have?
In school. I have a clean sweep 13.
Ah, you've mentioned the clean sweeps before. Can you show me the broomstick?
Yes, I'll bring it the next time to show you it. I don't fly my broomstick to work every day. I take the flu network.
Then we're back to the flu network. Great.
One of the things that, in the way that this document is written, that I enjoyed, though, in regards to this, was the commentary of Lee Jordan and the back and forth between Lee and McGonagall.
Yes.
So I did enjoy that part of it. Now, like you mentioned before, the game part was just the game part. Went through and highlighted Harry and his broomstick, basically.
Were you a seeker? You seem more like a keeper to me.
I'm a chaser, actually.
Oh. Okay. Because I gotta say, the chasers seem like they're kind of pointless.
Well, if you paid attention...
I did pay attention. I paid attention to the part where the game is over when you catch the snitch and you get 150 points for it, so the team that catches it almost always wins, thereby meaning the chasers are pretty useless. You don't really need them.
There has been many a Quidditch game, including in the Quidditch World Cup, where they've caught the snitch and still lost because the chaser scored more points than the snitch.
How often? Typically, is that a typical outcome, or are the chasers usually irrelevant? So they're either completely irrelevant or mostly irrelevant. You're just saying they're mostly irrelevant.
No, they're neither.
Well, you would say that because you're a chaser in this game that I don't think exists. But I'm saying they're probably mostly irrelevant. That's the nice version.
Anyway.
Sorry. I'm sure your friends really admire you for your chaser abilities that are totally not irrelevant.
However,
I feel like you should take me to a Quidditch match, preferably one that you're playing in, so that I can see how relevant the chasers are. That would be the only thing that would really change my mind.
I do not play Quidditch to that point anymore.
Oh. Do you have video of you playing Quidditch that you could show me?
We do not have wizard video of Quidditch.
Is this not broadcast on the Flu Network?
The Flu Network doesn't broadcast.
Huh. That seems like, you have a real opportunity. This would be really big on ESPN, if it actually existed.
ESPN? Is that some type of divination?
No. Sports Network. I swear, sometimes I feel like we're speaking a different language from each other.
Seeing that you're a nomad and I'm a wizard?
You keep saying that. Okay, moving on.
Anyway, moving on.
So afterwards, even though Hagrid was there to witness, he was initially watching the match from his house, and then he decided to show up in the stands and sit with Hermione and Ron. Yeah, afterwards they go back to Hagrid's house, and he basically says, no, there's no way Snape would be trying to kill you. They tell Hagrid about Snape tangling with a three-headed dog, and he still insists that there's no way that Snape is trying to kill Harry. I don't know why Hagrid is trying to cover up for Snape, but that seems to be what's going on at this point.
Hagrid goes through and says something he should not have said.
He drops the name of somebody else who could be involved with that item, whatever that item is, and it's not a name that we've heard before. So, Nicholas Flamel.
Nicholas Flamel.
Okay.
And the name has been heard before, which you'll probably remember later when it's revealed later.
Interesting. You'll understand this later. All right. So we've got...
No, let me put it this way. when the reveal is brought up, you'll take back all the things you said about my sport.
Right. The sport that totally exists, like your friends. Yeah, so now we have a name for the dog. His name is Fluffy. We have this name, Nicholas Flamel. Did I say it right that time? And we have Hagrid covering up for Snape. So that is how far along the plot moved, which is to say not very far along at all, because we spent most of the time talking about the Quidditch match, which sounded very, very exciting indeed, if it were actually happening. I do like the fact that Gryffindor has several girls who are on their team, though. So go Gryffindor.
I did appreciate that too, because some of the best. There's actually a Quidditch team in England called the Holyhead Harpies.
That is
an all-female
fantastic
Quidditch
name
team
for a band.
So, who is your favorite character of the book so far?
I mean, come on. Hermione set a teacher on fire. It's got to be Hermione. She's taken the lead.
She's ripped the lead out of McGonagall's grasp because
she has done
of
that.
her pyrotechnic abilities.
That, and she magicked the banner to change colors, which sounds really pretty.
And she carries around fire in a jar.
She basically has pet fire, which is pretty cool.
All right, is there anything else that we may have missed about this chapter that you'd like to go over?
I don't think so. I think we covered all the main. It was kind of a short chapter. It was also just short on plot, but we have the whole Snape with the dog, and Snape trying to kill Harry, and Hagrid not believing anything about Snape doing either of those things. So that's all we got as far as the plot progressing. Lots and lots of filler about Quidditch.
So, something that isn't filler, folks, is that we are constantly going through to try to bring content and making it the best content possible. For that to happen, for us to continue with this content and bring it to you every week, one of the things that we have going for us is a Patreon. So if you could even just give $1, whenever these are finished being edited, I drop them to the Patreon immediately. Otherwise, they're released every Monday. So you could get 1 or 2 episodes, depending, way in advance, while everybody else that's in podcast land has to wait until the next episode. Don't you hate waiting, Alice?
I really do. Just like I'm waiting to meet your friends and to see a Quidditch match. I hate it.
Right now, the people cannot see the hand gestures over the pod that I'm making.
And that's a good thing, because some of those gestures are kind of rude.
If you would like to have access to more content, visit us at the Patreon and give your support by donating. You can that address is www.patreon.com/Vicarious Muggleland.
You can also reach us at Twitter and on Facebook, and feel free to leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're enjoying our podcast, please do tell your friends. Hear all about fictional games and fictional friends here on Alice in Muggleland.
Alice, I think you're a very lonely individual, so that's why you picked on me.
I think that
and the fact
it takes one to know one, Bill.
So, you also have no friends?
I didn't say that. Who needs friends? I have jelly beans.
That you said that last episode that you're no longer going to eat.
I have sworn off the jelly beans.
See, since you believe that Quidditch is a fictional sport, I can't go through and bring you in the chocolate frogs.
What? Fine. Quidditch is real and it's awesome. It's really awesome. Bring on the chocolate frogs.
I don't believe that you believe that. Anyway, folks, tune in next week.
I don't believe that you won't give me a chocolate frog. You're going to have a lot of fun editing this one.
All right, folks. Well, next week, Christmas comes to Hogwarts as we go through and cover Chapter 12, The Mirror of Erised.
Oh, God. I can't stand that we start celebrating Christmas right after Halloween nowadays.
Well, you gotta remember, the English don't have Thanksgiving.
That doesn't make it any better.
If this was an American book, there'd probably be like the magical turkey of giving or something like that.
The turkey of giving, it just keeps serving itself over and over again.
It keeps on shooting stuffing out from between its legs.
Ugh, that's disgusting. Ugh.
That being said, folks, knock.
Not only does Harry suspect now that Snape tried to do something with the dog, let me try that a third time, because that doesn't sound right either.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
I can hear. I'm sorry. I hit the mute button so that I can cough on that really gross refried bean jelly bean. Yuck. Sorry. Oops.
All right.
I'm fine now. Thank you for asking.
Well, you've always been fine.
Oh God, you actually have a sound for that. Oh.